Yo, I got into botany recently. Yeah, I've been taking care of this plant. I don't know what it does. I'm still kind of waiting for that to, show up, because, a lot of plants do a lot of good things. But this one kind of just smells weird and doesn't really do anything, but, I'm going to let it run its course. I'm going to see what happens. So what better movie to talk about today than the 1960 Roger Corman classic, Little Shop of Horrors. Little Shop of Horrors is a classic horror comedy film which was shockingly shot in only 2 days. It also spawned one of the greatest remakes of all time, the 1986 musical Little Shop of Horrors, which is based on the 1982 musical also called Little Shop of Horrors, which is also based on this movie that we're reviewing today, the 1960 Little Shop of Horrors. So, let's dig into this movie, a movie that was shot in only 2 days. The movie opens with a sort of animated credit sequence that's basically just there to set up the setting of the film, Skid Row. The art is actually pretty good though, even if it is just a camera panning over a flat image. There's a narrator talking about Skid Row and where some crime all started, saying he's a detective or something. This is just a weird side plot though. The narrator of the story and his other detective buddy really don't do jack shit and are just there to fill the movie's already short runtime. I don't mention these guys much in the review. It cuts to a flower shop owned by one Gravis Mushnik. Mushnik gets a call from the sadistic dentist down the road, Phobos Farb, and Mushnik has one of his employees, Seymour, prepare flowers to be delivered to him. Just then, however, famous actor Dick Miller walks in the room and then asks for some flowers. Mushnik says he'll wrap them up for him, but Dick Miller says, nah, I'll just eat them here, and he actually starts eating the fucking flowers. Meanwhile, Seymour mangles the flowers he was supposed to prepare and gets fired on the spot. He really grovels to Mushnik here, trying to save his job in his ass. He says he's really trying and that he's been working really hard and that he's got this new plant in the works for the store. But Mushnik doesn't care, until Dick Miller says he'd like to try this new plant and that others might want to see it. So Mushnik gives Seymour another chance. This movie is really weird and we are only 10 minutes in. This is going to be an interesting ride. If you can't tell, this is a comedy and a very funny comedy, full of snappy dialogue and quotable dialogue. The flower-eating bit caught me off guard so much the first time, and Dick Miller's delivery is so fucking funny that it gets me every time. You may remember Dick Miller from Gremlins 1 and 2 as Mr. Futterman, and A Bucket of Blood as Walter Paisley. Fun fact, A Bucket of Blood was also directed by Roger Corman and written by the same writer of this movie, Charles B. Griffith. His character in this movie is called Burson Fouch, but I'm just going to call him Dick Miller. He was actually supposed to play the main character Seymour in this film, but turned it down to play Burson, which is definitely a choice. Seymour goes home where he lives with his mother, who's convinced that she's always ill with something. That's just her whole running gag throughout the movie. Health food, quack remedies, and always being convinced that she's got some deadly illness. Fun fact, Seymour's mother is played by the writer's grandmother, Myrtle Vale. Seymour brings the plant back to Mushnik's shop and says that he named it Audrey Jr. after a girl he likes who works at the store named, well, Audrey. And she is floored to have a plant named after her. You may remember Audrey's actress, Jackie Joseph, from her role in Gremlins 1 and 2, alongside Dick Miller's character, Mr. Futterman. She played Mrs. Futterman. Mushnik gives Seymour's plant a chance if he can nurse it back to health within a week, since it looks like it's on death's door. I'm going to be honest though, I couldn't tell it was supposed to look like it was on death's door with how cheap it looks. I just thought it was supposed to look like that in general. Later that night, Seymour's at the store, trying to figure out how to get this plant to grow and become a flourishing member of society. Seymour accidentally pricks his finger on a nearby plant and finds out that Audrey Jr. likes blood, so he gives it his blood. Man, that thing looks terrible. I know it was 1960, but damn, that thing looks bad. It looks troubled. It looks like it has a terrible home life. Little Shop of Horrors had a shoestring budget for a creature feature, about 30 grand, which in today's money would have been about 300 grand, which may sound like a lot, but anything under $1 million is nothing when it comes to a movie, especially a creature feature. What I'm saying is, you can see the budget. The next day, Seymour returns to the store to find that the plant has grown by a foot, and people are starting to come in from all over the place just to see it. Everything is going great, and then Audrey Jr. decides to shrivel up and die.
Let it die, let it die, let it shrivel up and... Come on, who's with me, huh?
Seymour stays up late once again with the plant, only for it to start talking to him for food. As a person who grew up with the '86 remake, it is weird not hearing the voice of Levi Stubbs come out of that thing. Fun fact, Audrey Jr. is voiced by the writer of the movie himself, Mr. Charles B. Griffith. Originally, Audrey Jr. was supposed to have its voice dubbed over in post, with Griffiths just there as a placeholder, but Griffith made everyone laugh on set so hard that they just kept it in. Probably also saved them a lot of their non-existent budget. Seymour's got an issue. He's out of blood, but Jr. wants more. Seymour goes on a walk to figure something out. He wanders into an old rail yard and starts throwing rocks at a bottle and keeps missing, so he picks up a big ol' honkin' rock and immediately hucks it at the bottle's owner right as he comes up to grab the bottle. Don't worry though, it's just a homeless guy, and he isn't dead, but he ends up stumbling onto the railroad tracks behind him and dies. Seymour can't find a place to drop the corpse, so to get rid of the evidence, he feeds it to Junior. Kill two birds with one stone. Gotta get rid of the guy, gotta feed the plant, It all works out in the end. It's a symbiosis. Normally Grax does this whole kill tally thing, but he's on vacation right now, because apparently I'm an incompetent asshole who doesn't care about his feelings, but whatever, I don't give a shit about him. Okay, so I'll try to do his voice, I guess. It cuts to Mushnik and Audrey at a restaurant. Audrey, the person, not the plant, and Mushnik don't got no cash. So Mushnik goes back to the flower shop to get some, only to walk in on Seymour singing a Christmas song while feeding the plant a foot. Mushnik never calls the cops, however, since when he gets to work in the morning he sees that the plant has grown enormously and is bringing in customers from all over the place. Now that is a fine-looking plant. Mushnik interrogates Seymour. He's willing to let the little murder thing slide, however, as long as no one else gets killed. And afterward, Seymour goes to the dentist because he's got a toothache. Here we really get to meet the mad dentist himself, Phobos Farb, as a man runs out screaming from his office, clutching his face. This man is played by the writer of the movie, Charles B. Griffith. Phobos is pissed since Seymour destroyed his flowers, and rightfully so. So he starts pulling out the wrong teeth simply out of spite, and a duel of dentistrial instruments ensues as Seymour ends up accidentally killing Phobos. Right as Jack Nicholson walks in for an appointment. Jack Nicholson plays a man named Wilberforce, who's a little too eager to be operated on while reading Pain magazine in the waiting room. I mean, we all gotta have hobbies, I guess. Seymour ends up pretending to be Phobos Farb and pulls out half the dude's teeth straight out his head. This was Nicholson's 4th film appearance, and is probably one of my favorites of his. Even though he's only on screen for a few minutes, his character is one of the most memorable and demented in the movie. In the 1986 remake, Bill Murray would make a cameo as a similar character named Arthur Denton. I'm gonna be honest though, I much prefer the name Wilberforce. That's just such a funny name for him. I don't know why, but it makes me laugh. Seymour once again feeds the victim to Audrey Jr. It cuts to two detectives, Frank and Joe. Joe is the narrator. They need to go investigate the deaths from earlier, and so they head to the flower shop to ask Mushnik some questions. The two deaths in question are the homeless man, which turns out to be a detective buddy of theirs. I don't know what he was doing in a rail yard drinking booze from a mysterious bottle, but, boys will be boys. And, of course, the Phobos Farb. Coincidentally, right as the detectives walk in, Mushnik walks in and has a fucking panic attack when he sees how big the plant has gotten, and then has another fucking panic attack when the cops start asking him about a missing dentist. Seymour asks Audrey, the person at the plant, on a date, and she agrees. A woman then walks in and asks Seymour about his plant, and explains to him that she and the botanical society she's a part of are going to give him a major award. She then asks about some flower buds that have started to form on the plant and when they'll open, and Seymour says in a couple of days. So she tells him when those flowers bloom that he'll get the trophy. Audrey, the person, not the plant, and Seymour go back to his place where his mother has made them food. Because apparently that's what dates for a broke bitch looks like. I'm sorry, Seymour. You gotta up your game. Meanwhile, Mushnik stays overnight to watch the plant, and a guy comes in to rob the place, and when he points a gun in his face and asks for more money than Mushnik has, Mushnik tells him that it's in the plant. And then the guy sticks his head in the plant and gets eaten. Fun fact, the robber is played by the writer of the movie, Charles B. Griffith. The next day, Seymour and Audrey, the person, not the plant, stay late at the store to have a picnic, but it all goes wrong. Audrey leaves in a huff, Seymour comes back, and the plant starts asking for food, but when Seymour denies him, the plant fucking hypnotizes him and tells him to get more food for it. What the fuck is this movie? No, genuinely. What the fuck is this movie? Hypnosis! I didn't think that was a possibility. Yet here we are. Seymour ends up finding a hooker lady and accidentally kills her and feeds her to Audrey Jr. The next day, Seymour's award is given to him. Everyone's there. Mushnik, Audrey, Andre Jr., Dick Miller, Seymour's mother, the cops, all waiting to see the plant's flower buds open. They open and we see the faces of all the people that Seymour and Mushnik have killed. The cops and Mushnik end up chasing after Seymour, to which he escapes, but then goes back to the shop and yells at the plant for ruining his life. He then grabs a knife and goes straight inside, killing himself. That was kind of a one-sided battle, my dude. I don't know why you would do that. You weren't going to win that fight. His mother and Audrey then return to the store with the cops and Mushnik, after not being able to find him, only to see his face in one of the flowers. The movie ends.
I hope I did you justice, Grax. If I didn't, I guess...
That was Little Shop of Horrors, and what did I think of the movie? Well, before I can tell you, let's get to the death. Only 5 people died in Little Shop of Horrors, giving us the smallest kill tally we've ever seen in a video. 4 were men, 1 was a woman. I'll give the coolest death to that first guy just because that was a pretty gory foot scene, I gotta say. And I'll give lamest death to the hooker lady. All the others were just cooler. Okay, now what did I think of Little Shop of Horrors? I thought it was actually pretty good. I think a lot of people just remember this movie as the movie that inspired the much better remake. And while yes, the remake I still think is the better movie, on a special effects standpoint, a writing standpoint, a pacing standpoint, pretty much everything just evolves this original movie. And also it's a musical, and I absolutely love horror, comedy, musical things, or just musical comedy things in general. So overall, I think the movie is good. It has a nice pace. I mean, it's only an hour and 11 minutes, so what do you expect? I think the characters overall are likable. Seymour, despite being the villain, kind of, is a pretty likable protagonist. You get where he's coming from, and the fact that every single murder is an accident, by all means, except the one that Mushnik killed. That was not an accident. Mushnik knew what he was doing. I think overall Seymour is a likable character, and I think all the characters are pretty distinct. Yeah, overall I like the characters, I like the pacing, but I do have issues with it. I think Dick Miller's character, Burson Fouch, just kind of gets sidelined. He's there in the beginning, and he's really funny. And then they just kind of keep him there because they're like, well, shit, we're only going to be here for 2 days filming, so I mean, we might as well keep him here. But, I mean, it's alright. I just wish he was in the movie more, because every other character gets consistent scenes throughout, except him, and it's kind of sad. I wish Phobos Farb, the dentist, and I really wish that Jack Nicholson's character, the dude who's really all for pain, the masochist man, I wish that they were in it a lot more, because they are fucking funny in this movie. Both of them are complete whack jobs, and I am so glad that they got a lot more screen time in the musical, but I really wish they were on screen a lot more. They are definitely, like, the best part of the movie. But overall, my other issues are just, as much as I do like the fact the movie keeps a good pace going, I think it jumps around a lot. Like, again, those detective characters do fuck all the entire movie. I barely mention them in the review because they don't do much. They're there for the narration, that's it. They only actually have one standalone scene. Every other scene they're in, they're with other characters. And don't get me wrong, their standalone scene is really funny, but there's no point in mentioning it. They don't do anything. I honestly, you could cut them out almost entirely. Shit, you could cut out their introduction scene entirely. It would not affect the movie. The only reason why they're there is just to pad the runtime. And I think I see a lot of like horror comedies, horror parodies do that a lot. You see with Scary Movie. You see with the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. God, as much as I like the original Attack of the Killer Tomatoes from '78, oh man, that movie really pads the runtime. My issues, honestly, do not hamper the movie all that much. Well, yes, I am talking about a lot of issues I have with the movie. The movie itself is just so funny. And again, it's only an hour and 11 minutes, so it's not like you're going to lose a lot of time. But I mean, it is such a funny and quotable movie. I think it's good. But now I am deathly afraid of plants. I don't like you anymore. You're gonna eat me. No, 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 fuck, no, 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 fuck that, I am not getting this, no, 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 that leads to a closet, by the way, no, 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 let's go!